My sister told me I was a waste of space at our parents' anniversary dinner. She said it in front of everyone, her colleagues, her fiancé, our entire family. What she didn't know was that our father had been the silent partner funding her entire law firm for 3 years. And the next morning, he made one phone call that changed everything. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this really started. Before I tell you how my sister's world came crashing down, I need you to do something. If you've ever been underestimated by someone who was supposed to love you, if you've ever been called worthless by family, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what happened next proves that karma doesn't always come from strangers, sometimes it comes from the people who've been quietly watching all along. Now, let me tell you my story. My name is Fiona, and I'm 27 years old. I live in Houston, Texas, in a modest apartment in Montrose that I share with my rescue cat, Leo. I'm a freelance graphic designer and children's book illustrator. I work from home, I make a decent living, and I'm genuinely happy with my life. But to my older sister Holly, I've always been the family disappointment. Holly is 32, a corporate attorney at what she constantly reminds everyone is one of Houston's most prestigious boutique law firms. She drives a Tesla, lives in a high-rise downtown, and never misses an opportunity to compare our life choices. At every family gathering, every holiday dinner, every casual phone call with our parents, Holly finds a way to highlight how successful she is and how underwhelming I am. "Still doing your little drawings, Fiona?" she'd say with that condescending smile. "Mom, has Fiona found a real job yet?" she'd ask, as if I weren't sitting right there. For years, I let it roll off my back. I told myself she was insecure, that her need to put me down said more about her than it did about me. My parents, Drew and Rose, always defended me, told me they were proud of who I was, that success wasn't measured in billable hours and corner offices. But I never knew just how much they had my back. Not until everything exploded at their 35th wedding anniversary party. Mom and Dad wanted something intimate for their anniversary, just close family and a few friends. They rented out a private room at Vincent's, this beautiful Italian restaurant in the museum district. The place had soft lighting, exposed brick walls, and the kind of warm atmosphere that made you want to linger over wine and conversation. I arrived early to help set up. I designed and printed all the invitations myself, created a photo display of my parents' life together, and even illustrated a custom anniversary card that made my mom cry happy tears when she opened it that morning. "Fiona, sweetheart, this is beautiful," Mom said, pulling me into a hug as she looked at the photo display. "You're so talented." "It's nothing, Mom. I just wanted tonight to be special for you guys." Dad squeezed my shoulder. "You've always had such a good heart, Fi." Holly arrived an hour later with her fiancé, Wayne, and 3 of her colleagues from the firm. I should mention that Wayne is exactly the kind of person you'd expect Holly to date, impeccably dressed, aggressively networked, and perpetually checking his phone during conversations. He's a real estate developer who talks about deals and investments the way normal people talk about the weather. "Fiona," Holly said, air kissing near my cheek. "Still living in that cramped apartment?" "It's cozy," I replied, refusing to take the bait. "And Leo likes it. Right, your cat." She said it the way someone might say your imaginary friend. "Wayne and I just put an offer on a house in River Oaks. 5 bedrooms, pool, the works." "That's wonderful, Holly. Congratulations." She introduced me to her colleagues, Janet, Paul, and Mike, all senior associates at Callahan and Associates, the firm where Holly worked. They were polite but clearly more interested in networking with each other than making small talk with the family illustrator. Dinner itself was lovely at first. Dad gave a sweet speech about marrying his best friend. Mom teared up and told stories about their early years together, when they were just 2 kids who'd met at University of Houston and somehow built a life that exceeded their wildest dreams. Then came the toasts. Wayne went first, talking about how honored he was to be joining such a successful and accomplished family. His eyes lingered on Holly when he said that, pointedly not looking at me. Janet stood next. "I just want to say, Rose and Drew, you must be so proud of Holly. She's absolutely brilliant in the courtroom." We couldn't run the firm without her. Holly beamed. Thank you, Janet. I've been so fortunate to work with such an incredible team at Callahan and Associates. We're doing amazing things. Paul jumped in. Holly landed the Morrison account last month. $20 million corporate merger. She's absolutely the future of this firm. I smiled politely and took a sip of wine, waiting for the Holly show to be over. Then Dad spoke up. We're proud of both our daughters, he said firmly. Holly for her legal work, and Fiona for her creativity and kindness. Holly's smile tightened. Of course, Dad. Fiona's drawings are very nice. They're not just drawings, Mom said, an edge in her voice. She illustrated 3 published children's books this year. She's incredibly talented. Oh, I know, Mom, Holly said, her tone syrupy sweet. I just mean, it's different from having a real career. A stable income, benefits, that kind of thing. Fiona's more of a free spirit. My jaw clenched, but I said nothing. Wayne, apparently feeling the need to contribute, added, nothing wrong with artistic hobbies. Not everyone's cut out for the corporate world. It's not a hobby, I said quietly. It's my career. Sure, Holly said, waving her hand dismissively. I just worry about you, Fi. What happens when the freelance work dries up? When you're older and you haven't built any real security? Mom and Dad won't always be around to bail you out. Holly, Dad's voice had a warning tone. What? I'm just being honest. Someone needs to tell her. She's 27 and still living like she's in college. No benefits, no retirement plan, no real direction. I could feel my face burning, but I kept my composure. I'm doing fine, Holly. I support myself. I pay my bills. I'm happy. Happiness doesn't pay for healthcare, Holly shot back. It doesn't secure your future. Mom set down her fork, clearly upset. Holly, that's enough. But Holly was on a roll now, perhaps emboldened by the wine or her colleague's presence. She turned to Janet, Paul, and Mike. I'm sorry, this is so inappropriate for tonight. But I've been trying to get through to her for years. My little sister just refuses to grow up and join the real world. Wayne nodded along like a bobblehead. Holly's told me how much she worries about you, Fiona. It comes from a place of love. Does it? I heard myself say. Because it doesn't feel like love, Wayne. It feels like judgment. Holly laughed, but there was no humor in it. Oh, here we go. The sensitive artist routine. Can't handle any criticism. Criticism would be constructive, I said, my voice shaking now. This is just you putting me down to make yourself feel superior. Girls, please, Mom pleaded. Not tonight. Holly stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. You know what your problem is, Fiona? You've never had to struggle for anything. You float through life doing your little passion projects while the rest of us, the adults, actually build something meaningful. Holly, sit down, Dad said, his voice hard now. But Holly wasn't done. I worked my ass off to get where I am. Law school, the bar exam, 80-hour weeks building my practice. And what have you done? Drawn some pictures and convinced yourself it's enough? I stood up too, my hands trembling. Why do you hate me so much? I don't hate you, Holly said, and for a moment, she almost sounded sincere. I pity you. You're a waste of space, Fiona. A waste of potential. You could have been something, but instead you chose to be this. The table went silent. A waste of space. Mom gasped. Dad's face went completely still, which was somehow more frightening than if he'd exploded. Holly Elizabeth, Mom whispered. How dare you? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, Holly said, but some of her confidence was starting to crack. Someone needed to tell her the truth. The truth? Dad's voice was quiet, controlled, and absolutely terrifying. You want to talk about truth, Holly? Drew, don't, Mom said, putting her hand on his arm. But Dad gently removed her hand and stood up, looking directly at Holly. Apologize to your sister. Right now. Holly crossed her arms. I'm not apologizing for being honest. Dad nodded slowly, as if confirming something to himself. Then we're done here. Rose, let's go. Dad, you're being ridiculous, Holly said. I drove 2 hours for this dinner. You drove 2 hours to insult your sister at our anniversary celebration, Dad said. Consider this party over. I helped Mom gather her things while Dad settled the bill. Holly stood there, looking shocked, while Wayne and her colleagues awkwardly avoided eye contact. This is insane, Holly said. You're going to ruin your own anniversary party because I hurt Fiona's feelings? You didn't hurt my feelings, Holly, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. You showed everyone exactly who you are. Thanks for that clarity. I hugged my parents outside the restaurant. Mom was crying, apologizing to me over and over. It's okay, Mom, I said, even though it wasn't. Let's just go home. It's not okay, Dad said. And it won't be. I didn't know what he meant by that. Not yet. I went home, cried into Leo's fur for an hour, and finally fell asleep around 2 a.m. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Something had happened. Something big. Before I tell you what happened next, I need to pause for just a second. If this story is resonating with you, if you've ever had a family member who made you feel small, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me your story. Because what I'm about to tell you proves that sometimes the people who love us have been fighting for us all along, in ways we never knew. Now, let's continue. The first call I answered was from my mom. Fiona, honey, are you okay? I'm fine, Mom. What's going on? Why is Holly calling me non-stop? There was a pause. Your father did something. Holly's very upset. What did he do? He withdrew his investment from her law firm. I sat up in bed, Leo tumbling off my lap with an indignant meow. What investment? Sweetheart, your father has been the silent partner at Callahan and Associates for 3 years. He's the one who provided the capital for them to expand. He's invested $5.6 million into that firm. My mouth went dry. Holly's firm? Dad's been funding Holly's firm? She didn't know it was him. The investment went through a trust. Only Christopher Callahan, the managing partner, knew the truth. Your father did it because he wanted to help Holly succeed, but he didn't want her to feel like she owed him or like her success wasn't her own. I couldn't process this. And he withdrew it? All of it? This morning. First thing. He called Christopher and invoked the buyback clause in their partnership agreement. He's pulling out every penny. Mom, that could destroy the firm. I know. Her voice was quiet. Your father knows that too. Holly's 17th call came through while I was still on the phone with Mom. I told Mom I'd call her back and reluctantly answered. Fiona. Holly's voice was raw, like she'd been crying. You have to talk to Dad. He's destroying my career because of a stupid argument. It wasn't a stupid argument, Holly. You called me a waste of space. I was upset. I'd been drinking. You can't seriously think I meant that. You've been saying variations of that to me for years, I said. Last night was just the first time you were that explicit about it. Fiona, please. The firm is going to collapse. We have 3 major cases going to trial. We have 18 employees. Dad's pulling the foundation out from under us. Did you know? I asked. That dad was your silent partner? She was quiet for a moment. No. Christopher told me this morning when Dad called. I had no idea. He did it to help you, Holly. To support your dreams. And you thanked him by humiliating me at his anniversary dinner. I didn't know, she shouted. How was I supposed to know? That's the point, I said. You didn't need to know. He helped you because he loves you. Because he's proud of you. And you took that success and used it as a weapon to make me feel worthless. Fiona, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I'll apologize 1,000 times. Just please talk to Dad. Why would he listen to me? Holly's voice cracked. Because he did this for you. He told Christopher that he couldn't support a firm where his daughter was treated with such contempt. He's not doing this to punish me. He's doing it to protect you. I drove to my parents' house in West University. It's the same house I grew up in, a charming brick colonial with a garden my mom tends obsessively. Dad was in his study, reading a book like it was any other Sunday morning. Hi, Fi, he said, looking up with a gentle smile. How are you holding up? I sat down in the leather chair across from his desk. Dad, what did you do? I made a business decision. I withdrew my investment from a partnership that no longer aligned with my values. Holly's going to lose everything. No, she's not. Dad closed his book. Christopher is scrambling, but he'll find other investors. The firm has a solid reputation. They'll take a hit, but they'll survive. Holly said you invested $5.6 million. I did. Over 3 years. I believed in what they were building. Why didn't you tell her it was you? Dad leaned back in his chair. Because I wanted Holly to build her own success. I didn't want her to feel indebted to me or to doubt her own abilities. She's a brilliant attorney, Fiona. She earned her position. The money just helped her get there faster. And now you're pulling it all away. Yes. Because of me. No. Dad's voice was firm. Because of Holly. Because of the person she's chosen to be. I felt tears prickling my eyes. Dad, you don't have to do this. I'm fine. I can handle Holly's comments. I know you can. You've been handling them with grace for years. But I don't have to watch it anymore, and I don't have to fund it. He stood up and came around the desk, kneeling next to my chair so we were eye level. Fiona, do you know what I see when I look at you? I shook my head, not trusting my voice. I see a young woman who chose passion over prestige. Who creates beauty for children, who makes people smile with her art, who's built a life that makes her genuinely happy. You didn't chase money or status. You chased meaning. And you found it. Holly doesn't see it that way. Holly measures success in dollars and titles. That's her choice, and there's nothing wrong with that path. But there's everything wrong with making you feel small for choosing differently. He took my hands. Last night, I watched my daughter tell my other daughter that she's worthless. And I realized that by funding Holly's success, I was indirectly funding her belief that she's better than you. I won't do that anymore. She's your daughter too. You love her. More than anything. Which is why I'm doing this. Maybe losing something will teach her what having everything never did, that people's worth isn't measured in their bank accounts. Over the next 2 weeks, the situation at Callahan and Associates deteriorated rapidly. Christopher Callahan tried to secure emergency funding, but the timeline was too tight. Without Dad's capital, they couldn't meet payroll for their expanded staff. They had to lay off 8 people, including 2 of Holly's paralegals. Holly called me every day, sometimes crying, sometimes angry, always desperate. The Morrison deal is falling apart, she told me on day 5. They're losing confidence in the firm's stability. This was supposed to be my big break, Fiona. I'm sorry, Holly. Are you? Because Dad's destroying my career and you're not doing anything to stop it. What do you want me to do? Convince him you're fine. Tell him you forgive me. Something. I am fine, Holly. But I don't forgive you. Not yet. What do you want from me? Blood? I want you to understand, I said quietly. I want you to actually see that what you said was cruel. Not just because it hurt me, but because it was wrong. My life has value, Holly. My work has meaning. I'm not less than you because I chose a different path. She was quiet for a long moment. I know that. Do you? Because you've spent years telling me otherwise. I was jealous, she whispered. I almost dropped the phone. What? I was jealous, okay? You're happy, Fiona. You wake up every morning and you do work you love. You have a cat and a cozy apartment and you're just content. Meanwhile, I'm working 80 hours a week at a job that's slowly killing me, planning a wedding to a man I'm not even sure I want to marry anymore, living in a sterile high-rise that doesn't feel like home. I didn't know what to say. I built this life because it was supposed to mean something, Holly continued. Success, prestige, respect. And somewhere along the way, I realized I'm miserable. And then I look at you, living in your cramped apartment, drawing your little pictures, and you're genuinely happy. And I hated you for it. Holly. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just needed you to know that when I called you a waste of space, I was really talking about myself. 3 weeks after the anniversary dinner, Holly showed up at my apartment. She looked terrible, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, wearing jeans and a hoodie instead of her usual designer suits. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside, and she walked in, looking around my small space like she was seeing it for the first time. It's nice in here, she said. Warm. Lived in. Leo, the traitor, immediately went to rub against her legs. That's Leo, I said. He's sweet. She bent down to pet him, and when she straightened up, there were tears in her eyes. Fiona, I need to tell you something, and I need you to just listen, okay? I nodded and sat down on my thrift store couch. She sat next to me. I quit, she said. You quit the firm? Yesterday. I walked into Christopher's office and resigned. Wayne and I broke up. I'm moving out of the downtown place and looking for something smaller. I'm blowing up my entire life. Holly, why? Because I finally realized something. Dad didn't pull his investment to punish me. He did it to wake me up. And it worked. She turned to face me fully. I've been so focused on building this image of success that I forgot to build an actual life. I've got the car, the apartment, the fiancé, the career, all the things I thought I wanted. And I'm empty inside. She grabbed my hands. You, on the other hand, have everything I actually need. You have purpose. You have joy. You wake up excited about your day. And instead of learning from that, I tried to tear you down so I wouldn't have to face my own failures. You're not a failure, Holly. I failed at being a good sister. I failed at being a good person. And I need to rebuild from there. What are you going to do? She smiled, and it was the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in years. I don't know yet. Maybe something in nonprofit law. Maybe take some time off to figure out what I actually want instead of what I think I should want. Maybe get a cat. She looked down at Leo. They seem pretty great. I laughed through my tears. They are. Fiona, I don't expect you to forgive me today, or even soon. But I promise you, I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that I'm not the person who said those things to you. That person was miserable and mean, and I'm leaving her behind. Holly and I didn't fix everything that day. You can't undo years of hurt with one conversation. But it was a start. Over the next few months, I watched my sister actually change. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment in the Heights, not far from my place. She adopted a cat from the same rescue where I got Leo, an orange tabby she named Marmalade. She took a position at a legal aid clinic, helping low-income families navigate the system. I make about a third of what I used to, she told me over coffee one Saturday morning. And I've never been happier. Wayne tried to win her back, but she politely declined. I realized I was marrying him because he looked good on paper, not because I actually loved him, she explained. Another thing I need to fix about myself. The most surprising change came in her relationship with Dad. One evening, she showed up at our parents' house and asked to talk to him privately. I wasn't there, but Mom told me about it later. She thanked him, Mom said, her voice full of emotion. She told him that withdrawing his investment was the best thing anyone had ever done for her. That it forced her to confront who she'd become and decide who she wanted to be instead. What did Dad say? He cried. Your father actually cried. Then he told her he was proud of her for having the courage to start over. Dad never put his money back into Callahan and Associates. The firm survived, Christopher found new investors, and they restructured on a smaller scale. According to Holly, they're actually more stable now, more focused on quality over quantity. As for me and Holly, we rebuilt our relationship slowly. She started coming to my apartment for dinner once a week. We'd order takeout, watch terrible reality TV, and let our cats play together. She stopped commenting on my career and started asking genuine questions about my work. Can I see what you're working on? She asked one night. I showed her the illustrations for my current project, a children's book about a little girl who thinks she's not good at anything until she discovers her own unique talent. Holly stared at the images for a long time. Fie, these are beautiful. Like, genuinely stunning. I'm sorry I ever called them little drawings. This is real art. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Can you teach me to draw sometime? She asked shyly. I've always wanted to try, but I convinced myself I wasn't creative. You're plenty creative, I said. You just channeled it differently. But yeah, I'd love to teach you. A year after the disaster at Vincent's, my parents announced they wanted to try their anniversary celebration again. Small dinner, just the four of us, Mom said. No colleagues, no fiancés, no drama. Just family. We went to a different restaurant this time, a cozy French bistro in Rice Village. Holly and I arrived together, having met at my apartment first. Ready for this? I asked her as we walked in. Actually, yes, she said. For the first time in forever, I'm exactly where I want to be. Dinner was perfect. We laughed, told stories, and celebrated Mom and Dad's 36 years together. When it came time for toasts, Holly stood up, her hands shaking slightly. Last year, I ruined this celebration by being cruel to my sister, she said. I said things I can never take back. But I'm grateful for what happened next, because it led me here, to a version of myself I actually like. She turned to me. Fiona, you are not a waste of space. You're the most genuine, talented, kind person I know. You had the courage to build a life that makes you happy, and I'm still learning how to do that from watching you. Then she turned to Dad. And Dad, thank you for loving me enough to let me fail. For showing me that supporting me didn't mean enabling me. You saved my life by pulling that investment. Dad raised his glass. To both my daughters. Different paths, equal value. I couldn't be prouder of either of you. We clinked glasses, and for the first time in years, I felt like we were actually a family again. That was 2 years ago. Today, Holly and I are closer than we've ever been. She still works at the legal aid clinic and tells me regularly how much more fulfilling it is than corporate law. She's dating a teacher named Vincent, a genuinely kind man who makes her laugh and doesn't care about her salary or her car. As for me, I recently illustrated my 5th published children's book. One of them won an award, which Holly celebrated by buying me the fanciest coffee maker I've ever owned. Because artists need good coffee, she said when she gave it to me. Dad never talks about the $5.6 million. When I asked him once if he regretted it, he shook his head. Best investment I ever made was pulling that money out, he said. It cost me some capital but gained me my daughter back. That's a trade I'd make every time. I think about that anniversary dinner sometimes, the moment Holly called me a waste of space in front of everyone. At the time, it was the most painful thing anyone had ever said to me. But it also became the catalyst for everything that followed: Holly's transformation, our healed relationship, the proof that my parents had been fighting for me all along. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones who need to be broken open themselves before they can see what they've become. Holly had to lose everything she thought mattered before she could see what actually did. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever been underestimated, judged, or made to feel less than by someone who should have lifted you up, I want you to know, your path is valid. Your choices are worthy. Your happiness matters. Please subscribe to hear more stories like this, and drop a comment telling me about a time someone underestimated you. Sometimes we all need to be reminded that quiet lives can be the richest ones, and that the people who truly love us are fighting for us even when we don't know it. Thank you for being here.